The skies above the twin moons of Varnek turned crimson as the first blast tore through the atmosphere. The peaceful colonies on the outer rim never expected war to reach them, but it did. And it didn't arrive with soldiers. It arrived with something far worse. It came with a gift no one wanted. Captain Jareth stood on the edge of the crater, his boots sinking slightly into the scorched earth. Around him, twisted metal and cracked bones littered the soil. His team had been sent to evacuate the last survivors. Instead, they found only one. A girl, or what looked like one. Half her body was armored in deep blue skin like scaled glass. Her claws had sliced clean through two of his men. But her eyes weren't cruel. They were afraid. He didn't raise his weapon. Not yet. The child stared back, unmoving. One eye glowed. Gold like molten fire. The other burned white like ice. Behind her, the smoking remains of an escape pod fizzled in the dirt. Someone had launched her. Someone had sent this beast child away from the battlefield like a discarded weapon. She's the daughter of the High Beast Matron, the comms officer whispered, scanning the archives in shock. She was gifted to us by the enemy council. They called it punishment. For what we did to their sacred ground. Jareth clenched his jaw. He hated politics. He hated how wars started over land, pride, or ancient ruins. But most of all, he hated how children were used like objects. This girl, no, this hybrid, was just another tool in someone else's hands. She didn't speak, not for hours. They placed her in a reinforced containment pod on the ship. She didn't resist. She didn't eat. She simply stared forward, as if waiting for orders that would never come. Her claws twitched sometimes. But not once did she attack again. Back on the command ship, Admiral Reese didn't want her on board. Dump her on one of the empty moons. Let the beasts come take her back. She's not our responsibility, he barked. But Jareth refused. He looked the Admiral in the eyes and said, "She didn't ask to be made like this. They named her Vera." It meant stray spark in old Earth tongue. She didn't seem to care. Days passed, then weeks. The ship's SI recorded strange behavior. Vera never slept. Her body adapted faster than expected. She could understand their language, though she spoke in fractured whispers. Her voice sounded like two people speaking at once, one child, one monster. One night, during a silent voyage past the Tyros dust fields, the alarms blared. A pirate ship ambushed them, using stealth tech no one had seen before. Shields went down. Crew scrambled. The pirates breached Deck 7. The containment unit failed, but Vera didn't run. Instead, she walked straight into the invading force. Surveillance footage later showed it all. She moved like liquid shadow. Her claws ignited with some unknown energy. She tore through armor, like it was cloth, but not once did she kill. She disabled. She wounded. She spared. After the fight, she collapsed. Her body shook. The transformation took its toll. Medbot scanned her. Her DNA was changing. She wasn't just beast or alien anymore. She was becoming something new. Something no record had ever seen. She was evolving in real time. Jareth stood beside her bed, watching her breathe. He didn't know why he felt something stir in his chest. Was it pity? Or pride? She had saved them, all of them. And now she was dying because of it. Or maybe shedding another skin. When Vera finally opened her eyes, she whispered just one question. "Do one belong here?" Jareth knelt beside her and nodded once. "You do now." In that moment, a soft glow lit her skin. The scales softened. The beast faded, and in her place, for just a moment, stood a girl. Not a weapon, not a punishment. Just a girl, trying to live. But far across the stars, on the throne world of the Beast Lords, something stirred. The Council had not forgotten. They had not forgiven. And the girl they discarded was not yet free. They would come for her. And they would come for Those who kept her. The countdown to the real war had just begun. Asterisk. The High Beast Council watched the footage in silence. Vera's image flickered across the crystal screen. She moved like shadow fire. Graceful. Dangerous. Controlled. Not the monster they had sent away. Not the creature meant to serve as warning. She had changed. And change was not allowed. Eldest Counselor, Drovak the Horned, smashed his fist into the table. She has broken the curse. She walks among humans. She was meant to suffer, not become one of them. Another counselor leaned forward, her eyes narrow and cold. Then we will remind her who she truly is. We will remind the humans what they have stolen, back on the human vessel. Vera stood in the training deck, surrounded by holograms. She didn't speak. She just moved, spinning, dodging, attacking. Her movements were smoother now, more balanced, less beast. More mind. She trained not to destroy, but to understand. Jareth watched from the control room. He saw the girl who once tore through steel, now choosing restraint. She could have crushed the dummies easily. Instead, she tapped them with calculated precision. She was learning, not just how to fight, but how to think. How to choose. The crew didn't all agree with her presence. Some avoided her in the halls. Some whispered behind her back. The beast girl. The monster pet. The council's gift. But Vera heard everything. She always did. Her ears twitched when the whispers passed. But she never responded. Only one crew member stood beside her without fear. A young mechanic named Talia. Human, bold, curious. She offered Vera food during break hours. She shared stories about Earth's animals. Wolves, eagles, cats. They all have wild hearts, Talia once said. But they still find families. Vera didn't smile often. But when Talia compared her to a lioness, something shifted in her eyes. Not pride, not anger, something warmer. Something small, but growing. One evening, as the ship drifted past a shattered moon field, a strange signal pulsed through the comms. It wasn't human, it wasn't friendly, it was a challenge. A demand, coordinates, voice print encrypted. The message was simple: return the daughter, or suffer the fate of traitors. The Admiral ordered the signal ignored. But the threat remained. Patrol ships were called back, weapons charged. Still, no attack came. Just silence, heavy, waiting. Then, a spy drone was found stuck to the hull. Organic. Beast tech. It had been watching for days. Vera touched it before they could destroy it. Her claws glowed, and the drone pulsed back. She didn't flinch. She simply whispered, "They're coming." No one asked how she knew. They could see it in her eyes. She remembered the Council's cruelty, the cold halls, the forced transformations, the punishments. They had built her from rage and science. But now she had something they never expected: choice. Jareth knew the Council wouldn't stop. They had lost control of their weapon, and tyrants never tolerate disobedience. He stood before the Admiral again. "We either hand her over or we prepare for war," the Admiral scoffed. "We won't start a war for one girl." "She didn't start it," Jareth replied. "But she might end it." Vera stood outside the war room, silent, listening. She didn't want war. She didn't want revenge. But if the only way to live was to fight, then she would fight differently this time. Not like a beast. Like something more. That night, she entered the ship's meditation chamber. A room of stars and quiet. She pressed her hand to the crystal wall. Her reflection stared back, half beast, half human. Neither, both. Her voice broke the silence. "I wasn't born for this. But I won't run from it." Talia stepped into the room behind her. "Then don't run alone." In the distance, just beyond sensor range, the fleet began to gather. Dozens of beast ships, shaped like bones and fire, silent, surrounding, watching, waiting for the moment to strike. But the girl they cast aside was no longer hiding. She stood beneath the stars, eyes glowing gold and white, wings slowly forming from her back, not of flesh, but of energy. Evolution in motion. The council had created a punishment, a curse, a weapon, but what they would face was something entirely different. The human ship Vanguard's Mercy drifted into the silence of Sector V9. Every radar screen showed nothing, no motion, no signals, yet everyone felt it, pressure in the air, a heaviness in their lungs, like something was watching them from all directions. Vera sat in the engine bay, her hands gently pressed to a glowing circuit panel. She wasn't repairing it. She was listening. The energy pulsing through the wires had a rhythm, a voice. She could feel the vibrations in her bones. It wasn't just technology anymore. It was connected to her, reacting to her presence. Talia crouched beside her, passing her a cloth to wipe her hands. "You've been different since the light wings appeared," she said softly. Vera didn't reply. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim room. Half of her face still carried the dark scales of the beast side, but they shimmered now like crystal instead of armor. The other half was smoother, clearer. Something in between girl and storm. Jareth entered with a data slate. "We've confirmed 27 beast cruisers on the outer rim. They're waiting. They want us to move first. They'll come when the stars align," Vera said quietly. Talia blinked. "How do you know that?" "I was born in their blood temples. I know how they think," she replied. Her words made the air feel colder. Jareth looked at her with concern, but not fear. He had long stopped seeing her as a threat. She wasn't their prisoner anymore. She was part of them now. Their future might depend on her. In the war room, the crew debated their next move. Some wanted to flee. Others wanted to strike first. The Admiral stood in silence until the arguing stopped. Then he pointed to the center of the star map. "We're going to the Hollow Station," he said. Gasps filled the room. The Hollow Station was abandoned during the old wars. Some said it was haunted. Others said it was cursed. But Jareth understood. It had one advantage. It sat on a convergence point of ancient energy tunnels. If they were going to survive, they needed more than weapons. They needed power. When they arrived, the station floated like a dead god, enormous, silent, covered in mossy metal and drifting debris. Vera stepped aboard first, no fear in her stride. As soon as she touched the floor, the lights flickered. Something inside the station recognized her. The walls opened on their own, long corridors lit by glowing veins of crystal. The station wasn't dead. It was dormant, waiting for a command it hadn't heard in centuries. And now it listened to her. The crew followed behind slowly, guns raised, eyes wide. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became. Energy swirled in patterns above their heads. Some symbols lit up on the floor. Alien words. Jareth asked Vera to read them. "It says only the broken may pass. It's a test," she whispered. They reached the core chamber. At its center stood a throne of bone metal and blue flame. Ancient, cracked, but still pulsing. When Vera stepped forward, the flame leapt up around her. It didn't burn. It wrapped around her like wind. And the chamber began to shake. Sparks danced on her skin. Her eyes widened. Her voice echoed. "It's not just a station. It's a memory keeper, a weapon builder. It turns pain into purpose." The rest of the crew backed away, but Jareth stayed. "What does it want from you?" "It wants me to finish becoming," she answered. Her body lifted into the air. The fire flowed through her veins. The beast within her howled. The girl within her stood tall. And together they formed something new. Not just a hybrid. Not just a symbol. A weapon born from two worlds. When her feet touched the floor again, her form had changed. Her wings were no longer flickers. They were real, solid light. Her claws, were still sharp, but her hands were steady. Her face glowed with calm strength. The throne dimmed behind her. Its energy spent. Talia stepped forward slowly. "Are you still Vera?" "Yes," she said. "But I am not only Vera now." At that moment, alarms screamed through the ship. Enemy ships had arrived. Dozens. Surrounding the hollow station. Beast voices echoed through every channel. "Surrender the traitor, or be erased," the admiral gave the order to prepare all defenses, shields up, weapons charged. But he looked toward Jareth and said, "Tell me we have a plan." Jareth smiled slightly. "We don't need a plan. We have her." Vera walked toward the view deck. She looked out at the glowing enemy ships. Her wings pulsed once. Her hands glowed with the fire of the throne. She didn't blink. She didn't flinch. Her voice filled the command deck. "They called me punishment. But now, I will be their answer." The hollow station groaned as the beast fleet circled tighter. Their ships moved like predators, silent, close, coordinated. No demands came this time, no threats. Just the steady pressure of war about to begin. Vera stood at the center of the command deck. Her glowing wings faded slightly as she conserved energy. Her breath was calm. The fear inside her was gone. Only purpose remained. Jareth stepped beside her and placed a small communicator in her palm. "You don't have to face them alone," he said. "I was never meant to face them alone," she replied. Outside, the first pulse struck the station's outer shield. Then a second. The lights flickered, but the station held. Inside, human engineers scrambled to boost power from the energy tunnels beneath the floor. The station had once been a forge for ancient weapons. Now it would become a shield. Talia ran from corridor to corridor, checking on systems. Her hands were shaking, but her focus was sharp. She trusted Vera, but the enemy's numbers were rising. More ships jumped in every minute. At least 50 surrounded them now. In the medbay, injured soldiers from earlier skirmishes whispered prayers. Some prayed to old Earth gods, others to the stars. One young recruit simply whispered Vera's name over and over, like a chant, Jareth. Took a deep breath and opened a fleet-wide channel. "All hands, this is not just about one girl. This is about what she represents." They sent her as a curse, but she became something better. Today, we don't defend a weapon. We stand with a person. Vera stepped forward and raised her voice across the same channel. "They see me as a mistake, but I see myself as choice. I choose to protect. I choose to fight for peace. If they want me, they'll face all of us." The enemy did not respond with words. They launched the first wave. 10 beast ships opened fire in perfect sync. Blue plasma cut through the station's upper ring. Alarms screamed. Fires burst along the outer deck. But the shields held. Vera raised her hands. From her palms, energy flowed into the station core. Lights flared. The ancient walls responded. Old weapons long dormant lit up across the surface of the hollow station. Massive turrets emerged from hidden bays. They roared to life. The counterattack was swift. Human lasers and ancient plasma merged in a fury of light. Several beast ships were hit directly. One spun out of formation and crashed into debris. But more came to take its place. The battle had begun. Inside the chaos, Vera's mind burned with connection. The station obeyed her thoughts. She wasn't just powering it. She was guiding it. Like a conductor with a massive orchestra of light and fire, her pulse matched the core's rhythm. She was one with the forge. Beast warriors finally boarded the outer ring. Their bodies were massive, covered in armor that pulsed with primal rage, but they found no easy prey. Human defenders stood firm. And among them, Vera moved like lightning. She leapt between attackers. Her claws flared. Her wings slashed like blades. But she did not kill. She disabled. She disarmed. Her restraint confused the enemy. They expected a beast. They met a protector, one. Warrior charged her with a roar, twice her size. Burning red eyes, he struck with enough force to crush steel. She caught his fist midair. Her arm trembled, her shoulder cracked. But she held it. Then, softly she said, "You don't have to follow them." He stared at her in silence. And then he dropped his weapon. In the command deck, Talia cried out as a blast rocked the ceiling. A hull breach ripped open the east corridor. She grabbed a rail and screamed for help. Debris flew. A fire broke out near the energy conduit. Vera heard her. She turned instantly and sprinted through the collapsing halls. Flames kissed her skin. Metal fell behind her. But she reached Talia and pulled her away just before the floor gave out. They tumbled, coughing, into the safety of the wall brace. Talia looked up, eyes wide. "You could have died. So could you," Vera whispered. The core of the station pulsed again. Its light dimmed for a moment, then flared. A final wave of energy flooded through the walls. The forges activated one last time. A final weapon was born. It rose from the central platform. A staff, forged of light and memory. It floated to Vera's hand. The fleet above began to pull back. Slowly, cautiously. Their sensors had detected the change. The station no longer just defended. It had chosen a champion. One forged from pain, fire, and will. One they could not control, but the Council's flagship remained. Larger than the others, older. Its shadow stretched across the stars. A voice rang through the system, deep, cold. "Return to us, daughter. You are ours by blood." Vera stood on the outer ring, facing the massive ship alone. Her staff pulsed in her grip. Her wings spread wide. Her voice was clear. "I am not yours. I am not theirs. I am mine." The enemy flagship loomed like a dark mountain in the sky. Its surface was covered in ancient carvings, glowing veins, and armor forged from dead stars. Inside, the Beast Council watched Vera through a live feed. She stood still, her staff glowing, her wings wide. She looked small compared to their might. Yet none of them moved to strike. "She rejects her blood," growled Counselor Drovak. "She dares speak above her creators. She dares evolve," whispered the youngest counselor. "That is what terrifies you." On the hollow station, every weapon pointed at the flagship. But Vera raised her hand. "No one fires," she said calmly. Her voice echoed through the ship's system. The Admiral blinked in confusion. "They're open targets," he said. "One volley could end this." "They didn't come to die," she replied. "They came to test me." The command deck fell silent. Everyone watched the view screen. On it, the flagship's side began to open. A bridge extended. A transport vessel launched. It wasn't a weapon. It was a meeting room on wings. They were coming to speak. Jareth gritted his teeth. "It's a trap, maybe," said Vera. "But I'm not afraid of traps anymore." She stepped aboard the docking bridge alone. Her wings dimmed so she wouldn't appear hostile. The staff remained in her hand, but lowered. The beast ship smelled of iron and smoke. When the door opened, a dozen armored guards stood waiting. Behind them sat the council. "Child of the matron," Drovak hissed. "Return to your place." "I have no place in chains," Vera answered. Another counselor, elder and slow, leaned forward. "You were meant to be our message. Our punishment to the humans. You were born to suffer. That was your destiny." "Then I have changed my destiny," she said. The chamber darkened. The walls pulsed red. One by one, each counselor stood. Their eyes glowed, their armor reshaped around them. The meeting was over. It was judgment now. They formed a ring surrounding her. But she did not run. "You can destroy my body," Vera said. "But not what I've become. I carry their hope now. Not just yours." They attacked in perfect unity, 12 strikes. 12 beams of ancient power. Vera's body blurred as her. Wings exploded with light. She leapt, twisted, and spun through the air. Her staff absorbed the energy. Then she landed, steady and tall. She didn't strike back. She stood in the center and whispered one word. Enough. The station heard. Her. The ship heard her. The very core of the beast flagship trembled. Her voice had triggered something deep within its old system. A buried protocol. A blood code forgotten. She was not just one of their kind. She was heir to something older. Suddenly, the counselors froze. Their power flickered. Their connection to the ship weakened. They looked at her in horror. You have awakened the throne, Drovak spat. You are not ready. No, she said. I am not finished. But I am not afraid. Outside, human and beast ships alike watched in confusion. No shots fired, no explosions. Just strange lights from inside the flagship. Then a new signal echoed through all channels. A single voice. Vera's voice. I do not come to destroy. I come to break the chains placed on all of us. Beast or human, weapon or child. I will not carry your hate anymore. In the medical wing, Talia clutched a rail and whispered. She's speaking to everyone. She's uniting them, said. Jareth, stunned. The council tried once more to attack. But the ship itself locked them down. They screamed as energy sealed them in containment rings. Their own system no longer obeyed them. It obeyed her. Vera stood before the central console. She pressed her palm to the stone panel. The room filled with glowing light. The council vanished behind containment shields. The ship's weapons powered. Down, her wings faded gently. She turned and walked out. When she returned to the hollow station, the crew rushed to meet her. But no one spoke. They just stared. The admiral stepped forward, but stopped when he saw her face. Not cold, not proud. Just calm. Jareth placed a hand on her shoulder. What happens now? I freed myself, she said. Now others must choose if they want to be free too. The beast ships began to drift. Some moved away slowly. Others powered down their weapons. A few even turned and entered orbit near the station. No one had given orders. But something in them had changed. For the first time in recorded history, the beast fleet did not finish a war. They left the hollow stations. Lights dimmed to rest mode. Talia watched from the observation deck as the stars brightened again. She didn't just survive, she whispered. She led. In her quarters, Vera stared at her reflection. The beast was still there. So was the girl. But they no longer fought. They shared the same skin now. Not perfect, not whole, but evolving, and evolution, she knew, was only the beginning. Vera stood alone in the crystal chamber, deep within the hollow station. The walls shimmered softly with echoes of old power. Each surface carried whispers of history, of lives shaped by war and pride. But she no longer feared the past. She had become part of it now. And something more. Outside the chamber, the station buzzed with activity. Human engineers and alien volunteers worked side by side to repair what had been broken. The beast fleet, once a symbol of fear, now orbited quietly in the distance. Some of their ships had even opened communication lines. Peace had begun to crack through the silence. Talia entered the chamber slowly, holding a data pad. Supplies from Earth arrived, she said. They sent food, power cells, and a message for you. Vera turned to her. Her eyes were steady. From Earth, Talia nodded. The leaders want to speak with you. They call you the bridge now. Between them and the ones they never thought they could talk to, Vera looked away. I never wanted to be a symbol. I just wanted to survive. You did more than survive, Talia said. You changed everything. Meanwhile, in the remains of the beast flagship, the imprisoned council sat in silence. Their cells were powered by the hollow station's core. No bars. Just light. unbreakable. They had ruled by fear for centuries. Now they watched their people evolve without them. Jareth visited them once, not with anger, but curiosity. He stood before Drovak's containment field and asked, "Why did you send her to us?" Drovak's answer was simple. "Because we were afraid of what she might become." Jareth didn't respond. He turned and walked away. That answer said enough. In orbit, a new structure was being built. A combined outpost. Beast engineers worked alongside humans. The design was strange and beautiful. Part flesh, part steel. A symbol of two cultures choosing growth instead of destruction. Vera stood on the top platform, watching it form piece by piece. Her wings had faded into her body again. They came and went now, like a part of her spirit. Not always visible, but always there. A young beastling approached her quietly. He had traveled from one of the ships above. His voice was soft. "Are you the daughter of the throne?" Vera turned to him. "I was." He held up a small metal carving. It looked like her, wings and all. "I want to be like you one day," he said. She knelt and placed her hand on his shoulder. "Don't be like me. Be better." Word of the Hollow Station's events began to spread. Across distant systems, other species took notice. Some feared. Others celebrated it. One thing was clear, the line between beast and human had begun to blur. And in that space, something new had started to grow. In the heart of the station, the forge chamber pulsed again. Jareth stood with the engineers, watching its glow. "She lit this place with her will," he said. "Can it be used again?" An old technician shook his head. "Not by just anyone. That light responds to more than power. It responds to pain. To purpose." Vera entered quietly. "Then maybe it's time someone else steps in." They turned as she walked forward. Her body shimmered with faint traces of energy. But she wasn't glowing like before. This time she was calm. She reached into the forge and placed the staff back onto its cradle. It sank into the platform and vanished beneath the floor. The chamber dimmed. The forge entered rest mode. Vera turned away from it without hesitation. She no longer needed it. Later that night, a small gathering took place in the observation garden. It wasn't a ceremony. Just people from both sides sitting under artificial stars. Sharing food, stories, silence. For the first time in years there was no war. Just breath. Talia handed Vera a warm drink. "Are you staying here?" Vera looked up at the stars. "For now. What if they ask you to lead?" "I'll teach instead," she said. "Leading is for those who want power. Teaching is for those who want peace." Jareth sat nearby, listening. He smiled softly. The girl they once feared had become their guide. And she had done it without raising an army, without spilling oceans of blood. She had done it by choosing a different path. One by one, the stars above the Hollow Station aligned. It was a natural event, one that only happened every few decades. But to those below, it felt like the galaxy itself had paused to listen. Vera sat in the grass, her eyes half closed. Around her were those she had saved, those she had changed, and those she had forgiven. Peace wasn't perfect, not yet, but it had started. And in the quiet between stars, that was enough. Months passed since the day the Beast Fleet left in silence. The Hollow Station, once a forgotten ruin, now pulsed with new life. Beasts and humans walked its halls together. Young ones studied in shared classrooms. Elders exchanged old war stories. Like they were history instead of wounds, Vera watched from above. Her chambers were small, built into the highest dome. She didn't ask for luxury. She didn't need walls of gold. Her room had one thing only, a clear view of the stars. Every night, she sat in silence, breathing the same air as those who once feared her. A message arrived from Earth. The Terran Council requested her presence at the Unity Summit. They wanted her to speak, not just as a witness, but as a founder of peace. Vera read the message once. Then she closed it and looked at the stars again. She wasn't sure if she belonged at a podium. Her voice was meant for action. But part of her knew this moment mattered. If she didn't stand there, others might speak her story wrong. She couldn't let that happen. Jareth entered without knocking. He held 2 cups of tea. They want to send a shuttle tomorrow. Think you're ready to be famous? I'm already infamous, she replied. They shared a rare laugh. Jareth leaned against the window, his eyes on the stars. The station runs well without you. But it doesn't feel right without you. I'll return, she said. But they need to hear the truth, not from records. From me, the next day, the shuttle lifted from the hollow station's docks. Vera stood at the front window as the stars bent around them. In the reflection, she saw herself, no longer the cursed daughter, no longer the weapon. Just someone trying to build something better. The Unity Summit was held in Earth's orbit, aboard a colossal vessel called the Circle, leaders from over 70 worlds sat in a ring. The center stage was empty. Until Vera stepped forward, some delegates shifted in their seats. They remembered her from the war reports. Others whispered her name like it carried weight. She walked with grace, her wings hidden, her staff left behind. She carried no symbols. Only her story. I was born as punishment, she began. Bred to remind others of failure. Raised without a name, only purpose. They thought suffering would teach obedience. But it taught me something else. It taught me how to choose. The hall grew silent. Not a word interrupted her. She continued, when I was given to humans, I was expected to break them. But they offered me food, shelter, even friendship. They saw me not as what I was made to be, but what I could become. Her voice didn't tremble. It carried truth, not pride. She wasn't there to impress. She was there to plant seeds. Today, I did not ask for trust. I asked for patience. Trust is earned, and I will earn it. Not with promises, but with work. Let this be the start of that work. When she finished, no applause followed, just stillness. And then slowly, the first standing figure rose. A human representative, then a beast delegate, then another. Until the entire circle stood in silence, offering her the one thing she never asked for: respect. Back on the hollow station, children gathered in a new learning room. A sculpture of Vera stood in the corner, not tall, not grand, just simple. A reminder. The title beneath it read, One Who Chose. Talia became the first human to teach at the Beast Colony schools. She used her own stories to help the young understand how to ask questions instead of follow blindly. Her favorite line was always the same. It's okay to feel scared. Just don't stop thinking. Jareth took a quieter path. He stayed on. The hollow station as a guide, not a commander. He walked with those who needed someone to listen. Sometimes he stood on the same observation deck where he once met Vera, and smiled. As for Vera, she returned. Not as a ruler, not as a symbol, but as herself. She trained new peacekeepers. She helped design defenses that didn't kill but protected. She met with both sides when arguments rose. And when they needed calm, they asked for her. One evening, she sat alone again in the garden. The stars above blinked softly. A young beast girl approached her and asked, Are you the girl from the stories? Vera smiled gently. No, I'm still writing mine. Peace had not ended all pain. There were still hard days, still mistrust. Still scars that took time to fade. But Vera understood now. Evolution wasn't a finish line. It was a choice. Made every day, and as long as even one person chose better, the galaxy could heal.